Have you ever wondered how much a mother can sacrifice for her child? Some mothers give their children toys, some give them money, but a few extraordinary mothers give away their own happiness, comfort, and dreams so their children can have a better future. This is the story of one such mother, a woman who owned almost nothing, yet gave her son everything, and whose final gift became the greatest treasure of his life. Nestled between green hills and endless fields stood the quiet village of Maple Creek. It wasn't a place of wealth. Most families worked hard every day just to survive. Among the small brick houses stood one tiny home with a rusted tin roof. Every rainy season, water dripped through the ceiling. Old buckets were placed in different corners to catch the leaks. The walls were cracked. The wooden floor creaked with every step. The furniture had been repaired so many times that it barely looked like furniture anymore. Yet anyone who entered the house could immediately feel something many rich homes lacked: warmth, love. Every evening, she returned home physically exhausted. Her hands had become rough from years of hard labor. Her back often ached. Her feet hurt after walking miles every day. But the moment Noah smiled at her, every pain seemed to disappear, because she believed one thing with all her heart: education could change their future. Noah understood how hard his mother worked. That knowledge became his greatest motivation. He studied harder than anyone else in school. While many students spent afternoons playing games, Noah sat quietly in the library, reading old textbooks. He borrowed books because buying new ones was impossible. Many pages were torn. Some covers were missing. But to Noah, knowledge mattered more than appearance. His teachers admired his determination. One day, his science teacher often said, "This boy will make us all proud." Not everyone shared that opinion. Some wealthy students mocked Noah because of his old uniform. His shoes had been stitched together several times. His backpack had faded from years of use. One afternoon during lunch break, Noah quietly opened his lunch. 2 slices of bread. Nothing else. A group of boys sitting nearby noticed. One of them laughed loudly. "Is that your lunch?" Another opened his expensive lunchbox, filled with sandwiches, fruit, and desserts. "My dog eats better than that." The others burst into laughter. Several students looked toward Noah. His face turned red. For a moment, he wanted to disappear. Instead, he quietly closed his lunchbox, picked up his books, and walked away without saying a single word. His silence spoke louder than any argument ever could. That evening, Sarah noticed something unusual. Noah wasn't talking. He usually shared stories about school while helping prepare dinner. But tonight, he simply stared at the floor. Sarah gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "What happened today?" Noah forced a small smile. "Nothing." Mothers have a way of seeing through smiles. Sarah knew something had hurt him. She didn't pressure him. Instead, she served dinner, a simple bowl of vegetable soup. She filled Noah's bowl until it overflowed, then poured only a little into her own. Noah frowned. "Mom, why is yours so small?" She smiled. "I'm not very hungry." Another lie, one she had told countless times. Late that night, while Noah studied beneath the weak light of an old lamp, Sarah quietly watched him from across the room. The electricity flickered. Moments later, the power went out completely. Darkness filled the house. Without saying a word, Sarah lit a single candle. She carefully placed it beside Noah's books. Its tiny flame illuminated. The next morning, Noah woke before sunrise. As he quietly walked into the kitchen, he noticed something unusual. His mother was already dressed for work. She smiled, as if nothing had changed. But her eyes looked tired. far more tired than before. Noah frowned. "Mom, did you sleep at all?" Sarah smiled gently. "I'll sleep when you're successful." She laughed softly, but her laughter couldn't hide the exhaustion in her voice. Noah wanted to say something. Instead, he simply hugged her before leaving for school. Sarah watched him disappear down the dusty road. Then she slowly opened the small wooden drawer. Inside lay the only valuable thing she still owned: her wedding ring. It wasn't expensive, but it carried every memory of her late husband. She gently held it in her palm. That evening, he rushed home with exciting news. "Mom." Sarah looked up from washing clothes. "I might actually win the scholarship." Her tired face immediately brightened. "I never doubted you." She hugged him tightly. For a brief moment, neither of them noticed Sarah quietly holding back another painful cough. A few days later, Noah found an unopened medical clinic brochure on the table. "Mom, were you planning to see a doctor?" Sarah quickly picked it up. "Oh, someone handed it to me in the market." "You should go." "I don't need to." "You've been coughing for weeks." Sarah smiled. "It's only because I've been working too much." Noah wasn't convinced, but Sarah gently changed the subject. "Tell me about your science class." He did, never realizing his mother had just hidden a... That evening, she smiled. "Go submit your application tomorrow." Noah stared at the envelope. "Where did this money come from?" "I've been saving." He hugged her tightly. "Thank you, Mom." Sarah smiled. She couldn't tell him the truth. Not yet. Weeks passed. Sarah grew weaker. Simple tasks became difficult. Sometimes she became dizzy while walking home. One rainy afternoon, she collapsed briefly outside a neighbor's house. Fortunately, kind neighbors helped her stand. "You must go to the hospital." Sarah shook her head. "I can't afford to stop working." The scholarship examination finally arrived. Before leaving home, Noah nervously adjusted his old tie. Sarah straightened his collar. She gently placed both hands on his shoulders. "You've already made me proud." What if I... The village clinic was unusually quiet. Noah ran through the front door, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. A neighbor had rushed to the grocery store only moments earlier with frightening news. "Come quickly," she had cried. "It's your mother." Everything after those words became a blur. Noah hurried down the hallway until he saw Sarah lying peacefully on a hospital bed. Her face looked pale. Her breathing was slow. But when she heard his footsteps, she slowly opened her eyes. The next morning, doctors informed Noah that Sarah's condition had become much worse. They had done everything they could. Neighbors gathered outside the room. Everyone in the village knew how hard Sarah had worked. Everyone admired her kindness. Late that afternoon, Sarah took one final peaceful breath. The room fell silent. Noah stood frozen. It felt as if time itself had stopped. The woman who had sacrificed everything for him was gone. The entire village attended her funeral. "The money for your application came from selling the things your father and I treasured most, not because they had no value, but because your future was worth more than anything I owned. Never feel guilty for my sacrifices. Every smile on your face made them worthwhile. Promise me only one thing. Become the kind of man who helps others. If one day you succeed, remember children who are still waiting for someone to believe in them. That will be the greatest thank you you could ever give me. I will always be proud of you. With endless love, Mom. By the time Noah reached the final line, his tears covered the paper. He held the letter close to his heart. For the first time, he truly understood the price of his dream. Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was his school principal. He held a large envelope in his hands. Noah. He smiled through his own tears. The scholarship results have arrived. Noah stared at the envelope. His hands began to shake once again. He slowly reached for it, not knowing that the next few moments would change his life forever.
Noah stood motionless. The scholarship envelope felt heavier than it should have. His heart raced as he looked at the school principal. For a moment, he couldn't bring himself to open it. The principal smiled gently. Your mother believed in you every single day. I think she'd want you to know the result. Taking a deep breath, Noah carefully broke the seal. He unfolded the letter with trembling hands. His eyes scanned the first few lines. Then, suddenly, he stopped. Tears filled his eyes once again. The principal looked at him anxiously. What does it say? Noah struggled to speak. Finally,
Noah still wore the same old watch his father had left behind. He worked evenings in the university library to earn extra money. During weekends, he tutored younger students. Some nights, he slept only a few hours. Whenever he felt like giving up, he unfolded his mother's letter. Reading it reminded him why he had started this journey. Every sacrifice she made deserved to be honored. Little by little, Noah became one of the top engineering students in the university. His professors admired not only his intelligence, but also his kindness. Whenever classmates struggled with difficult subjects, Noah stayed after class to help them. He remembered exactly how valuable encouragement could be. 4 years passed. Graduation day finally arrived. Students filled the grand auditorium wearing their graduation gowns. Families cheered proudly from the audience. As Noah waited for his name to be called, his eyes searched the crowd. Deep inside, he wished his mother could have been there. Then he smiled softly. In his heart, she was. The announcer called, "Top graduate in engineering, Noah." The auditorium erupted in applause. Noah walked across the stage with tears in his eyes. As he accepted his degree, he quietly whispered, "This is for you, Mom." After graduation, Noah joined a
Months later, construction began on a new building in the center of the village. People wondered what it would become. Children watched excitedly every day. When the building was finally completed, a large sign was placed above the entrance. Sarah Hope Learning Center. Inside were classrooms, books, computers, and scholarships for children whose families could not afford an education. Everything was completely free. On the opening day, villagers gathered outside. Teachers, students, and families filled the courtyard. Noah stepped onto the stage holding the same wooden box his mother had left behind. He removed her handwritten letter, placed it inside a glass frame, and hung it near the entrance. Then he addressed the crowd.
My mother believed that education could change a person's life. She gave away everything she had so I could keep learning. This place exists because of her love. I hope every child who enters these doors remembers that no dream is too big when someone believes in you. The audience stood and applauded. Many wiped away tears. As evening fell, the children laughed while exploring their new classrooms. Noah quietly walked outside. He looked toward the sky. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. He smiled. "Mom, you once said darkness should never stop my future. You were right. Your last gift wasn't the money. It wasn't the ring.